Thank you for joining me again. And in this session, we'll talk about a Reverend Father that was beaten up by some irate youth in the community. And this happened somewhere in Ebonyi State, in Abakaliki, at St. Mary's Catholic Church, that is located somewhere in Ezanot local government in Ebonyi State. So what actually happened was the fact that the Reverend Father was said to have beaten and also detained the son of one councillor, Mrs. Onele, something Onele, Ngozi Onele. So he detained the boy, saying that the boy has, been, destroying his cassava farm for some time, and he has warned him in numerous occasions to desist from doing that, but yet the boy has continued to do that. So in this particular time, he decided to beat up the boy and then lock him up, kept him, and said, okay, until his parents came for him. He wanted to actually meet the parent before he released the boy this time around. And people have asked him to release the boy, and eventually the family went over to the parish council. In Catholic Church, they have the council. The parish council chairman reported the Reverend Father to him, and he went to the house of and he went to the parish with with brothers of the person involved, and they asked the Reverend Father to release their brother to them, but he refused. And even as the matter went on, the Reverend Father got angry with the way they are talking to him, and said they should leave the compound, which they refused. And he now went in, brought out cane, and started flogging the boys, which are actually big grown-up boys, to start flogging them to leave the compound. And they also got angry, collected the cane according to the report, broke the cane to pieces, and they now pounced on the Reverend Father himself and started beating him up. And they beat him up to a point whereby it was very, very bad for him that he had to leave the community, and he went to the bishop's quarters, moved over to the bishop's place to go and stay, and even trying to reach him to request or to know much more about what actually happened, hear more about his own side of the story. He has said that he is not stable to give any comment on that issue. But the thing here is the fact that I think the Reverend Father might have overreacted, to have gotten to that level of him having an altercation with his own parishioners. And of course, we may not actually know the full extent of the detail of what happened, but with what we have heard and seen already, it's still not something that was expected or is expected from someone of that level, which is a Reverend Father that is supposed to be a public figure, a community leader, and things like that, that people look up to and expect to get advice, from them. Of course, they are to be disciplinarians also, to ensure that people actually keep up to good characters and things like that. But to the extent that you are detaining someone's child when you are not a security operative, when you are not law enforcement, it becomes an issue, because people actually these days are beginning to have some disrespect for religious leaders. Of course, with the things we've heard that happen, a lot of places where you hear about some pastors or reverend fathers, or they're having issues like that, and especially some cases whereby you hear them having an involvement with charms, things like that, having involvement with abuse, women rapes and things like that. So people are beginning to have some contradictory kind of feeling or mutual or respect towards some religious leaders. So you have to have a very high profile status for people to continue to respect you and not take out actions on you. And for you to have decided to even beat up someone else, grown up to, these are not kids anymore. You could have beaten kids and got away with it. But when you start beating someone that is grown up, you should expect that they will also turn around and take actions if they can't control it. So of course, we will always blame those that have decided to take on a Reverend Father, which is someone that is to be respected, someone that is to be, held with high esteem. No matter what the issue is or the situation is, they shouldn't have actually beaten up a Reverend Father, because that's the height of disrespect to not just him, but to the institution and to the church as a whole. Because someone that is at that level and referred to as a father is not to be taken out, in terms of beating like that. So it is disrespectful, and no one supports that. I don't support that personally also, but it doesn't really matter because it has happened. So however, next time we hope that the Reverend Father will also exercise some restraint in the way he deals with those that have actually gone wrong by destroying his cassava farm. This is just a cassava farm, and who knows, maybe the portion the boy even destroyed is not significant compared to what is expected from the farm. But for a cassava farm to have led to something like this is actually very shameful, to see that it can, get to this level whereby a Reverend Father has been beaten up by some youth. This is something that could have been prevented. I mean, the Reverend Father could have just allowed the child to go and eventually summon the parent to discuss with them and talk to them to restrain their kid from going to his farm any longer. And also the guys involved also could have also exercised some restraint, before they decided to pounce on the Reverend Father and beat him up. Because this is not setting a good example to other people in the community, because people are going to see that the Reverend Father has been beaten up, and eventually their respect for him is going to reduce. He has to be relocated or changed from that parish, because if respect will be reduced, because people will always think that whatever he does, that they can always beat him up. And that also will apply to other religious leaders also, that they can easily be beaten up and nothing is going to happen. Although we don't expect arrest to take place or whatever, but it depends on what the bishop and the security operative decide to go ahead and do. But no matter what it is, what happened could have been prevented. The Reverend Father should also, also be spoken to and, discussed with at length to understand the depth of what is happening and what has happened. And of course, there's also anger management should also come into play here, because you as someone that is held at high esteem and shouldn't get angry at people whereby you start flogging anybody that is around you. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense in that regard. But even for that to have happened, it shouldn't also have led those guys to have beaten him up. They could have also exercised restraint. So I'm not blaming anybody here, but I think a lot could have been done to prevent this. It shouldn't have gone to this way. It shouldn't have degenerated to this level. And it's shameful right now that this has happened. But we hope that it gets resolved, and we hear good news from that area very soon. That's what I have to say, and thank you for listening.